Welcome to Season 4 of E-commerce Fastlane. This podcast helps resilient entrepreneurs thrive with Shopify. And now, on to episode 201.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
This episode is brought to you by Fast Simon, a leader in AI-powered shopping optimization for Shopify merchants. You can now engage your customers, boost your sales, and uplift your average order value with advanced search, personalization, merchandising, and discovery functionalities. As a Shopify merchant, you need the best-of-breed apps to differentiate and thrive in today's e-commerce landscape. Fast Simon has designed its platform with scalable infrastructure and customization in mind. Their new React UI component library simplifies the integration of AI shopping optimization with headless commerce and custom Shopify e-commerce storefronts. The new library can allow you to increase conversions through speed and AI of its shopping optimization platform, including merchandising, smart collections, search, personalization, visual discovery, cross-selling, upselling, and you name it, all with a few lines of code. As a Shopify merchant, Fast Simon understands your needs and offers multiple store views within the same dashboard, copy settings between stores, manage production, staging, and development stores, role-based access controls, and most importantly, they have 24/7 world-class support. Now, Fast Simon has powerful features tailored to the needs of Shopify brands. You can now address your audience's buying intent across different points in the customer journey. Whether your shoppers are browsing or if they have a clear intent to buy, get the tools to move your first-time visitors towards making a purchase by offering a unique buying experience through personalization and visual discovery. Fast Simon has also partnered up with Shopify's point-of-sale system, which is actually fantastic for those retailers listening today with an online store and traditional brick-and-mortar locations, or even a pop-up shop. They also play nice in the ecosystem partners like Klaviyo, Yotpo, Stamped, Facebook, Instagram, so much more. You can even pull unlimited data from about anything in your online store and utilize it in your marketing tech stack. The more data you integrate, the more audience insights and personalization possibilities that you'll discover. Thousands of e-commerce merchants and agencies trust Fast Simon as they are a member of the Shopify Plus certified app program. You'll get great results, maximum flexibility, and unrivaled time to market. And right now, Fast Simon is offering a 14-day free trial for all my listeners. This also includes 30% off for the first 3 months. So check out their website at fastsimon.com. And to take advantage of my listener-only discount and free trial, head on over to ecommercefastlane.com/Fast Simon. This is the only app you will need for all of your shopping optimization needs. So go check them out, fastsimon.com. Well, hey there, it's Steve, and welcome back to the E-commerce Fastlane podcast. Now, this is your first time listening. This is an e-commerce show where we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving with your store powered by Shopify or Shopify Plus. If you're an ambitious lifelong learner, which you probably are since you're here today, you're definitely in the right place. New episodes are available twice weekly with your favorite podcast players like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and many more. You can also stream current episodes, including a very relevant back catalog directly from E-commerce Fastlane. So go check that out. A lot of great partners in the Shopify ecosystem and a lot of the problems they're solving, a lot of great offers and things. So ecommercefastlane.com. Now, in today's episode, my guest is Matt Hollingsworth, who is the chief of staff for a company called Stamped, and they're at stamped.io. And what they are, actually, they're two things, but they're a ratings and review app. They're also a loyalty and reward solutions. They do work together or separately. It's quite interesting. And what they do is they help Shopify brands to leverage UGC, this user-generated content. And then on their loyalty side, what they do is they help create programs that help a brand to grow and scale along with their retention efforts. And so let's jump in and learn more about Stamped and the kind of how they're assisting Shopify brands at scale, I might add, really to improve conversion rates, while building a community of fans and repeat customers. So it's pretty exciting. So hi, Matt. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Thanks, Steve. Great to be here. I'm a fan of the show.
All right. Thank you so much. I just went over that 200 show milestone last week, and, it's been quite a journey. It's been a life of learning is kind of a mantra I have at Shopify, and I'm finding that these episodes now really give me a lot of talking points, and that's what I'm hoping to get out of today is when I have these strategic conversations, kind of being a trusted advisor for the brands I manage, I like to bring something from each of these podcast episodes. And I think a lot of times the loyalty and retention questions come up quite a bit. Like, how do I implement it? What's best to breed? How do I do it? And then the other side is like, how do I deal with my UGC, my user generated content? How do I own the rights to it? How do I get it on my product pages? How do I create social ads around it? Like, there's so many interesting nuances around this space. Totally. So I'm hoping to unpack a lot of this today and just educate people as best we can. So let's maybe talk first, maybe on a high level, about what Stamp is, why they're unique in the Shopify space, and the sort of problems of conversion problems and retention efforts. Like, how are you helping these brands today?
Yeah, so good place to start. And I think you did a pretty good job there at the beginning of going over things. So appreciate the research on your side.
Yeah.
So to your points, I think the thing that Tommy, who was our founder of Stamped and still with us here today working on the product, what he was trying to do originally was he was trying to just leverage happy customers into improving conversion rates on his store. And he did that fairly efficiently actually at the start by building a very simple app. And I think it speaks to the power of the marketplace and how developer friendly the process is that he was able to get that up and running within a couple of months and able to start generating some revenue off of that very quickly. But the problem that he was looking to solve for right away was how to collect reviews and positive reviews and place them on his own e-commerce store when he was going through that process as an entrepreneur a number of years ago. And it's obviously grown since then into a number of different features and functionality to try to help e-commerce merchants utilize their positive reviews. And we have got systems in place to make sure that positive reviews are the top of mind and the ones that actually get displayed. But the idea is to just generate reviews easily, collect them easily, and then display them on your site in strategic ways to help increase conversions on your store. So that's the ratings and review app. And really what we're, like I said, trying to do here is to help merchants leverage the brand affinity and help increase conversions on their stores.
It's interesting too. I manage a brand, Tentree, tentree.com and tentree.ca. And I think I have a few others that I know are using Stamped and they're actually quite happy. And I think you even have a couple case studies, I think, on the website with Tentree. But what's interesting that I like about the tool is that I love the auto posting abilities of it and saying, hey, you know what, if there's a 4 or 5 star review on a certain product, like, let's not waste any time for manual approval. Let's just do it. Let's put it up. However, if it's a 3, a 2, a 1, is there some opportunity here? Can we pause this for a moment? Can someone be notified inside the brand as saying, okay, what's the train wreck here? What happened? Did they incorrectly click a 1 when they meant a 5? And let's reach out to that customer right away and resolve it. Like, not that we're purposely trying to hold back bad reviews, anything. It just opens your mind up to saying, oh, okay, we have a defective product, or, maybe something on the PDP page is incorrect. We're saying one thing, but, it's something else. Or the product got lost and they're leaving a review for something and say, I never received the product, didn't get a refund. And it turns into a customer service kind of a nightmare. And the review is incorrect. So I love how Stamped is able to pause it and then let the brand kind of make a decision about, well, how do we rectify this?
Yeah, totally. And I think that's one of the things that we try to do, and we've done actually quite well up until this point, is to allow for the level of customization that does just give you full control over what you want the users to see at the end of the day. So like you said, it's a really interesting, from a product perspective, to learn more about how your customers are using the product, what might be some of the issues with the product itself or with the flow that you have in place on your store, or just it allows you to collect so much data. And that's the first step that we try to solve for merchants. And then the next step is to give them full control. So if people have tried Stamps, and that's one of the things that we hear quite often, is that it's easy to use, it's fully customizable, and getting started is very straightforward. We try to get you up and running and displaying your first positive review is, within the day, and people have done it within hours, and if not a couple of minutes, it doesn't take very long. So that's the seamlessness that we're trying to accomplish here.
Lovely. So let's talk a little bit about the founder's journey. You mentioned Tommy a bit and just the fact that he really had a need for with the story he had and trying to get reviews up and then just going down that journey. And then wait a second, there's a wider access to this tool that I think others can use more than just kind of what my selfish needs are. It seems to be a kind of a common theme I see with a lot of app developers is they kind of build it for themselves, kind of internally for their own use case. And all of a sudden they see there's a wider adoptability, I guess, of the solution. So I'm just was curious if you can maybe talk a little bit about, other than the fact that he had a store and he was kind of solving that need, is there anything else that you can think of, like the desire or the expertise to even want to build the whole platform? Because it seems to be iterating over time.
So like I mentioned, Tommy built the app very quickly to meet the need of collecting reviews and displaying them easily. So that was the first step of the process. Is there a way to do this more efficiently than just reaching out to customers, asking for things or getting them to fill out a form or all those kind of things that were sort of the 2016 era of displaying and collecting reviews? And the way that we do that now, and it hasn't really, the core of the product hasn't necessarily changed very much in terms of what we actually do, but it's changed in how easy we've made it. So it's still all about collecting and displaying your reviews. And so what Tommy did really, really well, and I think this speaks to entrepreneurship in general and building software tools more broadly, is that he listened to customers. He built the solution and solved his own need. We did a really good job, and I don't want to take credit for it because I haven't been here for as long as he has, but he did a really good job of listening to his customers and putting the customer first. And if you do that, you start to realize that, hey, all of these other things, if you listen to customers, will come up and they'll communicate what they need. So it was a very, I think, sort of iterative, as long as we're listening to the customer, we're going to put out the best thing that they need. And that's what they did really, really well. So all the things that you see now as part of Stamped were as a result of customer feedback and listening to the customers.
Very cool. I know inside Shopify, we have a tool called Merchant Frustrations. And, sometimes things just don't work maybe as planned, or there's kind of unique use cases. And I think Shopify likes to build things based on like wide appeal. They're not going to do like a one-off kind of customization, or, someone recommends one thing and saying, I wish it did this, or I wish this kind of report could pop out of the admin. But everybody can have very unique use cases. And so with this frustration tool, it really allows kind of merchant-facing team members like myself to saying, hey, if you get feedback from your merchant to saying, hey, this feature or function is not working maybe as planned, I would like it to do this. And then all of a sudden it starts getting triaged by the product team internally and saying, wow, lots of people are seeing value in this. We need to kind of add this to our roadmap and maybe create a project out of it and test it and figure out some ideas. And so I'm glad to see that you're kind of adopting the same kind of methodology of frustration and then triage and then get to work and start building.
Yeah, and Tommy, again, is a builder at heart, and he continues to build here at Stamped as the leader and core person on the engineering team. And it's always been, for him and for the rest of the team, it's always been the customer will tell us, and we just need to listen. So that's the journey so far, and it's worked out very well for us, but we're continuing to do that. And the other thing that a lot of people talk about when they talk in the context of Stamped is just the quality of the support. Not only the speed in which we tend to respond to people, but also just the resolution rate is very, very high very quickly. So when you have a support team like that, who we want to move efficiently, but we also need our customers to feel when they reach out to us, they can get their problem solved. And, that is something we've done, I think, very intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll add to that too, based on that customer service, that's one of the pillars of being invited and vetted on the Plus certified kind of app partner program, like kind of inside Shopify Plus. And there's only 62 certified partners. I know Stamped is one of them. Just going to kudos to obviously Tommy, the whole engineering team, the whole company. You're doing a lot of the things to allow you to be and rub shoulders with other partners in the ecosystem of like top of the food chain. We talk about things like security and privacy and the speed of the solution, the scalability, the reliability. The customer support definitely is a key factor in how to manage larger, mid-size or enterprise businesses. And the data handling is another kind of interesting topic too. You have all of those buckets and check marks in place, hence the reasons why you got approved and are available in the Plus app program. So
yeah, and it's going to continue to be the case, right? So we value that level of support over, and I think that's what one of the major differentiators that we have here is the people's comfort and the feedback we've received on the support side. So
absolutely.
So Stamped was acquired by a Canadian holding company in April when I first started, actually. So we have a new CEO on board as well, and that's one of the things that we will always emphasize, whether it's new ownership, whether it's different people on the support team. It's one of the things that we do best is our support and our handling of our customer issues. So, it's just wanted to emphasize that it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to improve.
Absolutely. So we'd love to unpack a bit about what's unique about the solution, because being a Plus certified app partner, Shopify does have a review solution, basic solution, and there's other notable peers, I think, in the same space. But just, is there anything notable that you would want to share with the people today? Just like more like these certain features or something that brands love about Stamped.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a cop-out answer to say there's a number of things that we believe that would differentiate us. But the first thing is that we get you up and running very, very quickly. So it's very easy to install Stamped through the Shopify marketplace and through our website as well. And getting up and running is very, very easy to do. We are competitive across the board when it comes to pricing and what's included on each of our plans. And just the level of customization itself on both the ratings review and the loyalty and reward solution is really what we try to emphasize. So it's meeting the customer need on the feature side, and we could go through the features. There's a lot of them, so I'm not sure if we want to go through them all right now. But we are continually working with the product team and talking to the support team to make sure that we are all on the same page as to what's important to us here at Stamped. And again, listening to the customer and providing that level of the support that our customers now expect from us. So pricing, it's support, it's our feature set, it's the fact that we're seamless across ratings, review, and loyalty and rewards. There's a number of things that we can dive into any one of them, but on a high level, that's how I think about it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, was just the uniqueness of the solution where both applications actually talk to each other, because I think I do a lot of app audits with brands. Some are kind of have leveled up maybe from Shopify Core Plan, and now they're on Shopify Plus because they're upwards of $1 million or $5 million, and they're trying to, hey, we want to use some of the Plus features, the Launchpad and the flow and the scripts and increased API calls and all the fun things you get when you move into the Plus side of the house. But I find when I do an app audit, sometimes it's questionable, some of the apps that people have chosen. And I think part of it is just their growth. All of a sudden they find an app that solves a need. And then over the years, all of a sudden it gets a little bit bloated. You wonder if each thing is talking to each other. And then all of a sudden, it's just through grit and determination, you kind of got to a certain level. But at some point, you really have to take a step back and have a look at your tech stack and saying, is there a solution that actually can talk to each other? And what's the overall marketing strategy here? What's our top of funnel? What's our mid funnel kind of plan? What's our retention efforts here? What are we doing? And thinking about all that. I think that's one thing that's unique about the Stamped product, because you have the ratings and review side of it in the UGC, but on the flip side, you can also how do I retain these customers now? How do I get more reviews? And how do I offer loyalty kind of reward solutions and refer a friend campaigns? And there's so many things that you can do. And I love the fact that they talk to each other.
Yeah. And I think that, again, going back to that, just listening to our customers piece is how we determine our product roadmap here at Stamped. So what we love to see, and one of my favorite parts of my job on the marketing side, as well as just the chief of staff in general, it's seeing customers who sign up on the light plan with us. So we do have a free plan, and you can get started. You can start to see how it works and starting to get a sense of how powerful reviews through the checkout flow are. And then we have had users that are merchants that started on the light plan just with a couple 100 orders per month kind of thing, even less than that, and have grown all the way with us to enterprise level plans, and started to introduce the loyalty and reward solution sort of as they grow and scale, and as they start to think about retention, as they start to think about loyalty programs and all that kind of stuff. So one of the unique propositions, like you mentioned, and I should have mentioned that earlier, is the ability to start off right when you're starting off your store, right when you're thinking about how to build your store. You get this in place and you really can grow, and you don't need another solution for this kind of thing for ratings reviews. And then as you scale, as you get to that retention piece, and as you start to build out your marketing function, and that retention, that loyalty program becomes available to you, and that's right within Stamped. And that's not something that we've kind of tacked on to the side of it. That's really core to what we do here, and making sure those are seamless integrations and seamless experiences. Seamless is really what we're trying to move towards here in 2022, which is a one-stop e-commerce marketing solution for obviously Shopify brands, but more generally e-commerce stores, and letting them grow with us. We do well when our stores do well. And so we're constantly trying to figure out ways of trying to promote that and getting features in front of merchants that will allow them to grow their stores.
Definitely. One thing I noticed too, I went to the website, I know this, like I said, because I have quite a few brands using Stamped, but I just love the fact that you guys play nice with, partners in the Shopify ecosystem, like in kind of non-competing verticals. Sometimes there's a little bit of bleed over, but for the most part, like non-competing verticals, other MarTech solutions that are necessary for a brand to function. I think of things like email marketing platforms like Klaviyo or OmniSend. I think of like customer service kind of platforms like, Gorgeous and Customer. And, there's quite a few solutions out there that I just think are necessary pieces of technology. I just love the fact that it doesn't disrupt what people currently have. You literally can add this on and they just work harmoniously together, which is just so rare in technology.
Yeah, and it comes down to building for the merchant to be able for them to grow in the best way that they can. So if that means us entirely for their e-commerce stack, for their marketing and different products they use, then that's great. But if it means that they need to use the Klaviyo's or they need to use other integrations that we have, which again, there's a lot of them. So it's when our merchants do well, we do well. And that's kind of the name of the game for us. So it doesn't serve our purposes. It doesn't serve our customers to limit what they can and can't do with the app. So that's our mentality.
It's interesting though, when I actually go to the site and look under all kind of integrations, there's obviously the main e-commerce kind of tech stack, Shopify and others, but then, the email and the social media, other automation tools, help desk offers, advertising connections. There's like a whole bunch of, like Shoelace is a big kind of partner that we definitely recommend for retargeting and journey mapping and things like that, shipping and email and just like, anyways, a whole whack of them in here. So it's just fantastic. You all work together. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's going to become more of the focus too. So obviously we are growing our team and we're growing our functions across the board. So we have a very robust customer success team and a great leader there now. And we have the same on the sales side, and partnerships is another piece of that. So the focus early on for Stamped was the product. That won't go away, but we're just expanding what we're doing here within the company. And part of that is partnerships and making sure that we have all the integrations there and we're able to allow our merchants to use those.
And it seems on both sides too. So it'd be the tech partners, but then also the agency partners, ones that can recommend the solution and implement the solution. Because people come as an open book and saying like, well, what do you recommend? And when you have a great leader and team members on the partner side through the agency, like Shopify, you have, there's agency partner managers and there's tech partner managers, right? There's actually both sides of the coin.
Yeah. And we're going to have the same very soon, actually. So the same on the reseller and agency side and on the tech partnership side, it's to come.
Awesome. So we are nearing Q4. I'd say by this recording, we're definitely in Q4. And then so the holiday season is literally just around the corner. I just would love to hear from you. Since you're kind of merchant facing, you get to see what a lot of brands are implementing and kind of what they're doing. Is there anything specific that you're kind of recommending that Shopify brands can do right now, kind of like in order to kind of prepare? This rush is happening. I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Delta variant is not going away anytime soon. This is an interesting time. People are definitely shopping early and they're shopping online, but just love to have some feedback from you. It's like, hey, if you owned a brand right now, based on what you see, like, what are you recommending a brand do?
Yeah, so there's all kinds of best practices as it relates to end of year into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then into the holiday season at the end of the year that merchants will be top of mind for. But I think the key piece is your most critical components of your business, which is making sure that your site can handle the amount of traffic that's coming in and making sure that you can scale appropriately on the bandwidth side. And that is something that seems to always get forgotten for somebody. So that is always a good reminder, is making sure that your site can handle it, making sure that your inventory is set up in such a way that you can handle all the requests that might come through, because you don't want your success to be limited by things that you could have prepared for in the first place. So that's the thing to think about on sort of a tech aspect. And then, of course, there's ways that you can start to think about how to utilize the customers that will be coming through to build your store in a more meaningful way moving forward after that. So partially, of course, selfish on our part, because this is what we do here at Stamped, but I do think it's a helpful thing to think about, which is if you don't have a loyalty rewards program, if you don't have a VIP program, if you don't have referrals in place, you might be really missing out actually on this huge influx of customers that are going to be shopping online during these times. So now is a really interesting time, at least, we're even coming up on almost too late in the game for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but if not for that time, for the end of the year, really start to think about what a loyalty program can do for you as you start to scale and as you start to see the number of customers come through, because that will help your retention rate going through. We've seen data across a number of different high-profile brands to inform us that loyalty programs do work, referral programs do work, and if people are excited about sharing your brand and your story with other potential customers, then that is going to help you in a very meaningful way as you go into the end of the year, especially into next year. So those are the things I think about. But of course, every brand is different. Every store is different. But I, again, to emphasize the importance of making sure that your site stays up. I mean, obviously that's a no-brainer, and I'm not a genius for saying it, but that is something that somebody will forget. And, hopefully that's maybe help somebody.
Yeah, I know from the Shopify perspective, obviously there's a code freeze coming up. And, once that happens, there's a war room and there's engineering. And we, can anticipate and have already done all the tests and load balancing and all the things. So from a SaaS company perspective, knock on wood, there's likely no challenges, being on Google's cloud and doing our thing. We've had some insane insane flash sales and stuff with the biggest celebrities and biggest YouTubers and pumping out millions and millions of dollars a minute. And it's insane. And so we're able to handle all that traffic. And there's, some proper measures in place for flash sales and things when you're getting over 4,000 or 5,000 checkouts a minute. Then all of a sudden, we kind of like hold back a bit and get people into a queue just to have the best customer experience overall. You can't have 1 million people checking out at exactly the same time. It's not feasible, but you can have 4,000 a minute checkout and that's fine. So the scalability side from the Shopify's kind of CMS perspective, there's no challenges there at all.
And I guess that's more relevant for, maybe smaller stores or non-Shopify stores. So there's no issue on the Shopify side, and probably for our audience here, it's not as relevant. But yeah. I think, is it important just to think about everything that could potentially go wrong with being able to fill orders. And then that's a good way to start, and then work backwards off of that. And then obviously that's the most critical component of it.
One thing I recommended last year, just more of a side note before you kind of move on to our next question, but it's like, I find that what I do is I tell brands, I said, in case there's a catastrophic failure, or there's like a small downtime, or there's some other, like you have some inventory, whatever the challenges are that you have, in a sane, calm mind right now, can you please pre-write out all your comms, assuming that this train wreck happens. It might not happen, but I'll tell you, you'll feel better, even though it's terrible when something like this happens, when there is some kind of a failure, whatever that be, if it's the internet, if it's Shopify, if it's connections to other third parties and their API, who knows? There's a million different things that can go wrong with connections to Shopify and their partners and your inventory and your 3PL and who knows? But if you pre-write out some comms ahead of time, both for social media and your email list and your SMS list, then you're able to say, no, okay, let's pause for a second. We're going to wait 10 minutes and see what happens here. If it doesn't resolve itself, then we need to get on social media in a mad scramble and trying to figure out what you're going to write. Already have it pre-done, hoping you never have to use it, but at least you're going to be using the right language and come across as confident that, yes, we're working through this, and instead of in a different kind of mindset of scrambling around. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, always better to go through that when you have a sort of a sane mind. You're not right in the thick of it.
Absolutely.
No, it's always good. The other thing I'll mention too, Chris, quickly too, obviously ratings and reviews and being able to display reviews and having UGC and visual content like that as a part of your marketing strategy on your website, but in more general terms. I think what I would suggest merchants do is to make sure that is just do an audit of the way that you're doing that, because oftentimes there's things that just get forgotten or can be optimized for that you didn't know were available. So for example, if you wanted to customize your email that you have being sent out to collect reviews, if you wanted to look at something like a Smart Assist or some of the AI tools that we have on Stamped to make sure that our algorithm is suggesting the most highly relevant reviews for specific products on your site, I think it's a really important time now before the rush that you'll hopefully experience later in the year, to make sure that everything is set up properly so you are confident that you're going into these high traffic times as set up as possible for your conversion rates, for collecting the reviews, for just your brand in general, because you don't want to be doing that at the last minute, and you're not going to be doing it very well at the last minute.
Yeah, definitely. So let's pivot to a story, because I think, we're all entrepreneurs. I think we have a life of learning. Those that are listening to the show, I know you and I kind of are cut from the same cloth too. We just love to learn. We love to share. We love being inspired, I think, from others too. What are others doing? And I think that just creates this motivation. You're saying, hey, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. Or, hey, I'm in this vertical and then they did this, and I wonder if that applies to me. And I think the short answer is probably yes. And so hopefully I don't put you on the spot here, but it'd be great if you could maybe share a journey maybe of a Shopify brand that is using Stamp today. Maybe they weren't, then all of a sudden they found you, they started using the solution. And I think obviously I would believe they probably would have been grown their business, they've scaling their business and using your technology. Just would love to understand if you have a public case study that we can talk about and kind of their journey with the Stamps, both solutions or one or the other, whatever story you'd like to share.
Yeah, so we have a couple that are worth discussing, and I think the first one is actually one that you've already mentioned, which is 10tree. So we have a podcast coming out actually, and we're launching a podcast on our site soon here, and 10tree is our first guest on the show. So worth checking out if you're interested in just the high level of what I'm going to be chatting about now. But 10tree is a great example of a Shopify brand that has grown very significantly and used, I think, the Stamped feature set for the ratings review side in a really great way. And honestly, I think there's a lot to it that I think if you go to their site and just see how they're utilizing reviews and see how they're trying to promote user-generated content to try to display that through their checkout flow. And they've grown. Don't have the numbers off the top of my head actually, but they've grown very significantly over the past couple of years, trying to keep the visual UGC, trying to keep the ratings and reviews, really key part of their marketing strategy on their site. So I will defer to the podcast for the more specific details of how they got started with it, because I think it's a really interesting story there. But they weren't utilizing ratings and reviews prior to Stamped, and I hadn't found a really great solution. And then they started using it, saw the power of what the increased conversion rates can do for their brand and what that does for the brand generally when they're displaying how happy customers are using their products on their site, and done a lot of things really, really well. But they've grown very significantly over the past couple of years, really using Stamped in a way that I think a lot of other customers should be using it, and they just haven't, at least right now.
Yeah, like I said, I manage that account and I've met them in person at one event. And then, it's just phenomenal that I got involved with them, and just a little bit of a, almost, I don't know what the word is, but just on the side, just kind of watching a bit, giving them some recommendations. I know Sean and I, director of e-commerce, we talk like every month, and we go through a lot of different things that Shopify is building, and talk about that roadmap and some alphas and betas. And then I know right from the beginning when they made the choice to go with Stamped, it's like, okay, great. And then I see visually how they put it all together. So I'll make sure I have a link to them in the show notes so you can have a good idea of kind of what they're up to. And I believe their loyalty solution is in a revamp right now. And I saw a sample a few weeks ago, and it's an epic piece of content and interactivity that they're working on right now. That, because one of their claim to fame is, for every garment you buy, they plant 10 trees. And the way their loyalty solution is going to work is that now they're adding a visual component too, so you can actually see how your purchase is actually impacting. It's quite interesting where they're headed. So
yeah, I was going to say that I thought for a second I was wearing one of their shirts, but I unfortunately am not today. But I was the other day. It was too bad. I should have done that. No, great brand, and they've done a really great job of marketing themselves well and using what we do here at Stamped to the extent that it should be. So
beautiful.
A great example there.
So let's talk about the future. I mean, we talked a lot about, your roadmap and just merchants in general, and just helping you dictate and triage kind of what's being built next, and just being open with the brands that, use your solution. But I just would love if you could share a little bit about your North Star. I guess moving into 22, we're in Q4 now, but, is any other partner alignment or innovation? Just end of the day, I just would like to get warm and fuzzy about, like, how are you going to continue to offer, I guess, the technology that impacts brands? I'd say their most important things, like their growth and then their retention KPIs. I'm just curious.
Yeah, great question. So I think to answer that question, I should give the context around the company more generally as well. So, new ownership, and the focus for us is to maintain the level of trust and confidence that our merchants that use us, and we have a lot of great brands that have been with us for a long time, and our retention rate for our own product for ratings, review, and loyalty rewards is very, very good. So we have a lot of brands that trust us to listen to them, and I think that that's going to continue to be the case, and it's going to be how we get to where we want to go. So I want to just reemphasize that piece, but I also want to just say too that we have more resources now to do the things that we couldn't necessarily do before. So on the partnership side, getting more integrations there, making sure that anything that our merchants want to be able to do and connect with outside of our apps, they can and should be able to do that. So that is definitely a component of our roadmap that might not otherwise been as high priority for us prior to this. And then just generally the mindset that we have, the things that we think about are, how are we going to create that unified offering for growing your e-commerce store? And how do we support brands from they're just getting started? Because we have a lot of companies with us that are on the free plan. So we have a lot of smaller merchants, and we have a lot of the segmented users here are pretty even actually across the board, free users and then paid users that are using our lower tier plans all the way to enterprise. So we have a lot of different segments of merchants in terms of the size of company and the amount of orders that they do. And so we're trying our best to cater to all of them. And the way we do that is to create a solution that is easy to use, that allows you to grow your store and market yourself well, both on the loyalty rewards and the ratings and review solution. Right now, it does feel like, and I don't want to necessarily downplay what we're doing here, but just it feels a little bit still segmented between the two products, and we're doing a really great job on the ratings and review side, but the loyalty and rewards side, it still looks and feels like a separate product, whereas we are wanting to present ourselves as this combined offering so that we have one solution that is available for everybody that they can use at a very reasonable price. So look out for some pricing updates over the next quarter or so that allows them to use both sides of our product offering in one seamless solution to get them growing their stores. And at the end of the day, like I said before, we win when our merchants go from small to grow to enterprise. So
Exactly.
that's the mentality that we have, and try to find ways of providing new features and solutions to get them to those enterprise customers is our goal. And it's nice to have that alignment and cheer on the entrepreneurs. It's just like what we love to do.
That's Shopify's mantra, right? Building a path that leads to more entrepreneurs. That's the whole focus, make entrepreneurship easy. And that's kind of the reasons why, I mean, there's like 1.7 million or more brands on Shopify, and just, 10,000 or more on Plus, I think. And so it's definitely a growing beast, and glad to have you as a technology partner. And so let's talk about where people can go to learn more about Stamped, and any kind of links and resources that you think are notable for today.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, Stamped.io. So go to our website and there's everything there that you'll need to learn about the product. We do have a couple of things that might be relevant here in the context of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and end of year. We do have a discount offer for 25% off any new merchant coming to the store, or any upgraded plan if you're already using our product. 25% off any plan for 6 months. And we also have a free trial. So if you wanted to go and try one of our paid plans for 7 days, you can do that. So go look under the hood, go see if it's something you want to try, and then you can make that decision afterwards. And we have a free plan as well. So the free plan is actually something that a lot of our users are happy with, and that's great. So, they're using our product and they don't have the needs to go up to a paid plan, and that's totally fine. That's good to see, and we want to support those users as well. So I think we'll probably link to the landing page for the offer. Yeah, we'll provide that here. And then the only other thing I think of is, it's a really good time to start to think about what tools you're using going into the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and into the end of the year. So things like discount offers, things like the 7-day free trial for a paid plan, those are all great ways to figure out if Stamped is a good tool for you.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
no risk there. So, it's definitely something that I would recommend. And then if you're on a contract for another similar tool, we do have a contract buyout program. So I'll link to that, and I'll send over the link to Steve here so that he can provide that as well, and more information around that. But the idea is, again, if you're using a competitor of ours and you're into a contract right now, we'll provide our service essentially for free, and the similar kind of service you were using before, and that allows you to transfer over at no financial cost to you. So that's the idea.
I love the freemium model. I think it's smart. I think because there's a lot of different complexities and maturities of brands on Shopify. So if they're in their early stage and they're doing 10 orders a month and they're just trying to get some product market fit and get some traction, it's a good starting point. And I love how, you can choose to get into a paid plan, and all of a sudden it opens up more functionality. And then I just love the fact that you also have a lot of content available. I think that's been part of your mantra from the beginning. It's just like, we got to educate people about kind of what's next, and as people move through their journey of complexity, of maturity, that they're able to go to the next level and saying, hey, well, like, what do I need to do to get to the next level here? And how do I offer the best customer experience, and raving fans, and all these different things? I think that's one thing that's great about your solution, is that you have that option. Start off with a free plan, at least for 7 days, at least try out the full plan. It's totally worth it. And I just appreciate the fact that you're offering this 25% off for 6 months. It really does allow people to see the value of kind of what the solution can actually do. I'll put all these links in the show notes too, including that contract buyout option. I think that's a really good option too. If you're kind of stuck in the middle of a contract and you're like, no, wait a second, I like the idea of what Stamped is doing here, and I want to kind of go to the next level. I know the pricing is very affordable in relation to a lot of other competitors in the same space. I think that's another value add. On top of just the free offer, it's just extremely, extremely competitive. And I think I love that you've kind of put your flag in the sand in that part of it. So Matt, just once again, thanks for coming on the show. I know we have some challenges before recording. You got a booth now, and it's great to get everything all done professional and pro. It's really cool. And I just wanted to thank you for just sharing your knowledge, the vision of the company, and just once again giving back to the Shopify ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks so much, Steve. This was a lot of fun. And again, I'm a fan of the show. Always happy to talk Shopify and anything that we're doing here at Stamped. So if anybody has any questions, you can go to hello@stamped.io, or you can actually reach out to me personally, because why not? It's Matthew@stamped.io if you have any questions. But yeah, this was awesome. Exciting things to come here at Stamped. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to your podcast. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes once it's live, and then, share the wealth around through social and stuff. So best of luck with that. Thank you for coming on the show. I just love being on the sidelines and watching the growth of what Stamped is doing. And yeah, we'll definitely be in touch 1 year today. I'm trying to get every good partner to come on every year. We have to have you on. So we'll update our calendars after this podcast.
That sounds great, Steve. Looking forward to it.
All right, take care.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Fast Simon, a leader in AI-powered shopping optimization. Its revolutionary platform uniquely integrates shopper, behavioral, and store signals for an e-commerce search, strategic merchandising, and optimized shopping experiences that dramatically increase conversions and average order value. Engage your customers, boost your e-commerce sales, and uplift your average order value with advanced search and merchandising functionalities. And as I mentioned, right now, Fast Simon is offering a 14-day free trial for all my listeners. This also includes a special bonus of 30% off for the first 3 months. So go check out their website, fastsimon.com, and to take advantage of these offers, my listener-only bonus and free trials, head on over to ecommercefastlane.com/FastSimon. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you, a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, launch, grow, and scale with Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.